Chelsey Andrews' debut novel, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, was a resounding success. It was a book about cancer that stood up against all other books about cancer, except for maybe Tifos, which ironically came out less than 2 months before Me and Earl, but you know. Anyways, his writing style was flippant and it had a very self-effacing sense of humor, which really colored the novel, but it was necessary to combat a very heavy topic.
So it was interesting to see what Andrews would do in his next novel when he wasn't tied to such a heart-wrenching subject. Would his sense of humor take a nosedive into the obscene, or would it just be as real and interesting as it was in Me and Earl? The answer came to us in the form of the haters.
Wes and Corey are BFFs who are also jazz nerds and attending band camp.
And this one time at band camp?
And no, it's not that kind of story either. The two quickly realize that they are some of the worst players at band camp and fall in with a girl named Ash who convinces them to screw band camp.
I stuck a flute.
And no, not like that.
Wes, Corey, and Ash all ditch band camp in the middle of the night, leaving their cell phones behind as they hit the road to God knows where to find a show to play. And in the in-between, they find themselves-ish, there's a vague romance, and they learn what it means to be in a band. Sort of. But most importantly, they learn how to do what they love.
I don't know whether it's because I don't read a lot of books about road trips, but this book seems really different from all the other books that I have or haven't read. For one thing, Wes and Corey barely know Ash, and she could just turn out to be a serial killer. And for another, the three don't actually have a destination in mind. They literally just pick a direction and drive.
Also, Andrew seems to be very hyper-aware of how reality actually works. Inside jokes that make no sense, nonsensical conversations, people saying awkward things, awkward pauses, all of it reads like you're not reading haters. You're actually living it. Like you're sitting in the back of this car with these weird but entirely average people who just see reality the same way you do.
Wes is an adopted kid whose parents love him but mostly let him do as he pleases. He is the balance between the other two and tries to make things run as smoothly as possible.
Corey is socially awkward, rarely knowing what to say, but he gets along with Wes. His parents are loving but a bit overbearing, so he has a really hard time with people telling him what to do.
Ash comes from a crazy rich family. A family of billionaires who royally screwed up their kid. She started to learn music because it was something that actually made her happy.
Characters have good, solid backstories, but more than that, their relationships feel real. Characters have multiple falling outs, problems build slowly, characters are hypocritical to hide their true feelings, and every time drama comes up, it feels like an argument that you could be having with someone.
By the end of the book, they feel like a band. They feel like a group of people who got to know each other and have grown in different ways. So why the title, The Haters?
Corey and Wes bonded as friends through their love of music and hating on stuff. They find things that they love or that are mainstream and then tear them apart to sound cool. Not to be vicious, but in a way that picks out the flaws of what they're looking at. Of course, this leads to some pretty funny ways of bringing things down. James Brown. His life work is basically the soundtrack to an infomercial for cocaine. Kanye. Kanye's artistic output is like if a corporation's only product was for commercials for itself. So I guess Geico. But more than funny put-downs, I feel like this is a microcosm of internet culture these days. Hating on things is how we relate to people the most, and the people with the most put-downs are the ones that are heard the most. And when something gets too big and mainstream, there's a huge backlash.
But the funny put-downs are just one of the ways that Andrew's sense of humor shines through. Another one is awkward inside jokes that the characters make that you are not soon to forget. Mainly the dick harm jokes. Yes, the dick harm jokes, where something is so exciting that you actually have to damage your penis. I was never 100% clear on what men talked about when they were alone, but I think I'd like to go back to not knowing, please.
That soprano sax in particular was so velvety and pure that I had no choice but to pluck my dick off like a ripe tomato from the vine and feed it to cats. It's not just once, it's a running gag.
Being a road trip novel, they also have realistic sentiments about traveling and certain motel chains. 6 is a word, and Motel 6 is where you go if you've been evicted from your home and you need a place to do meth that you just stole from the corpse of a prostitute. Sentiments that we have expressed before.
Oh, jerks beside us. I am never, ever, ever,
ever staying at another Motel 6 in my life. That was it. I did it once. Never, never, ever again.
The Haters is worth the read, and if you ever want to feel like you're in high school again, in a good way, then give this book a try. It's an easy and fun read, and maybe even something you'll come back to in a few years.
The characters are great. The premise, while it isn't exactly new, feels new. The sense of humor is unusual, but funny. And Andrew's writing style is something that you're not going to come across in any other book. So give The Haters a try.